So I've got a small job. Having had the kitchen done, you know that this cupboard here was bespoke, that made by the kitchen fitter. He took a standard unit in that to make it a bit shallower, which suited us because it allows us to have shelving at the top, and then below that's where we have our bin. The only thing is we've got quite a bit of space on the right hand side where we've got the chopping boards and things like that. It's just collapsing. So I'm going to make a little inset unit to go in there just to tidy that up, but also allow something to go on the top of it, but still allow us to get to the bin. Yeah, fortunately, when we had the kitchen, we had lots of sort of end panels, green end panels that was left over. So I've got quite a bit of wood, so I'll be able to make it out of the same forest green wood that I've got with the cupboards, which will make it nice. So I'm going to get my track saw out and cut it all to length and dowel it to make a bit of a proper job of it. I think that's probably my approach to it. So I'm down in the garage at my workbench. So the next thing I'm going to do is got a couple of those, like I said, end panels that came spare with the kitchen. So I'm going to mark those up and cut them. I've got my track saw, circular saw, which has got a track saw adapter that I bought some time ago, to be honest. I've only used it a couple of times, and a track itself. So that will be used to get a good straight edge and maybe a good clean cut as well. That's what I'm hoping to do, rather than just trying to do it freehand, because otherwise it's bound to waver. So that'll be the first thing, is just purely cut them to length. So that's it sort of mocked up, all cut to length. So what I need to do now is obviously to fix them all together. I could screw, but I don't want the screw head showing, so I'm going to do a proper job. I'm going to try anyway. I'm going to actually dowel the joints and glue them. That'll just make a bit more professional job of it, I think. And also give me a chance to test out my new dowel alignment tool, which looks pretty good. So I'll show you that for making sure dowels are drilled and put in the right place, basically. So we'll give that a go. So there's 6, 8 and 10mm dowels. Not only allows you to pre-drill them in, it'll also align them, so on the other part you'll get the dowel should be identically in the right place. I'll show you how that's done if I understand it right. So there's quite comprehensive instructions, and it all depends on the thickness of the board. So this will work up, I think, up to about 30mm board. But in essence you've got 3 different dowel sizes, and depending on the position of how you position on the wood, you can determine to get that centre to the wood. So there's the 8mm dowel there, and by positioning it onto these lugs in different ways, you can get that to the centre of the board, as you can see. So that's the positioning centre of the board there for an 8mm dowel. For the 10mm one, I think you position it like that. So that's the centre one, is the 10mm dowel, etc. So yeah, it's taken a bit of getting used to, but so I'm now going to drill basically 2 dowel holes in the middle. That first one, see how that goes. So I've just set the drill depth thickness plus the depth that I want the dowel to go to. So that's going to be about 10mm beyond. So I'll try the first one, see how it goes. don't know if you can see, that's done that quite well. I might go a bit deeper actually. So that goes in there nicely. So I shall carry on now and do them all and get the ones that's all in the thin. Then I've got to work out the other way, which I'll show you when I have to put it in the opposite board and have to make sure that they're lined up, otherwise you'll have problems. So that's, this jig will help with that apparently. So that's the first step of the doweling. So that's all the holes drilled. I've just got to glue all those now in place. So I shall drop the glue, put all those in, and then I've got to work out where this hole is on the other side. So that's the next part that I'll use the jig for, to line that up. Not I've got to read up on that on the instructions, but it's so far so good. So the dowels are all now glued in. So the key thing is now, when I'm fitting the next piece that's going to go there, you've got to drill an equivalent hole in that piece, but you've got to make sure you get it in the right place, otherwise it either won't fit or it'll be off centre. So that's where that jig now will align that up. My understanding is, so that's the bit I'm now going to move on to. Okay, so this is where you use this jig now to set the distance from the edge by setting this space up to it. So what you have to do, you release that, you then put that over the dowel and then slide that up so it's now tight, and tighten that up. So what that's now doing is setting the jig distance between the hole and this straight edge basically. So it's now set in the centre line. That's step one. So having set that now the right distance back, you're now going to align the board where you want the equivalent hole to be drilled in, so that will effectively flop up and push down into the hole. What you do is you guide these, so this is the 8mm hole here. This 8mm hole is guided over there, and you push it back until that stop that I set like that. It's a bit fiddly, you've got to get the boards all parallel lined up. I need to clamp that. So I'm going to take one of my clamps. Okay, so to recap, what I've actually done is using that slot that goes over there. So that now means this hole is in line with that. On base, the boards are parallel, which they are, and then I can then drill down in there. So I don't know if that makes sense. Basically what the jig is doing is making sure with the boards that you're joining together, that dowel, you need to make sure that that distance is the right distance there, and that what this jig's doing is making sure that's the case by those slots there. By putting it over the dowel, it's making sure that it's the right distance, as long as your boards are obviously set on top of each other parallel. The distance out is the distance in the centre of the board that I set before when I set this bottom piece there in that previous step. So I think I've got it. I've now got to set the right drill depth. So if we got that right, that should go to there, like that. proper job. So that's all the doweling now done and the holes cut. So it's a matter of assembling it and hoping it's all right. I made a couple of mistakes on the bottom base, so I had to recut the bottom base. But apart from that, I think it's gone pretty well, but it'll all be down to whether it all fits together nicely. And then I'll do a final glue. So yeah, not too bad. If I made an error, it's me error on the cutting, so I think the doweling works. Looks alright, all in keeping, not a bad job.